guys think is going to be the biggest obstacle in getting this amendment passed?
I think a lot of folks don't understand how the judicial system works now in terms of our trial courts and our appellate level courts. So it's really important that we're out talking about why it's so critical that we keep selecting our appellate judges the way we are now, a process that I think has worked very well for Tennessee.
Governor, can you hold that up just a little bit?
All right, sorry.
That's okay.
Hard to get good help these days.
I mean, who do you guys face as the opposition to this amendment? It obviously has wide support from people.
No, I think the opposition really is just lack of understanding. This is a complex issue. It's a complicated amendment, and people don't necessarily understand just why this should pass. I think part of the reason that we put together such a strong, I think strong bipartisan group of people is just to say, look, this is not an ideological issue. This is an issue about how do you make state government in Tennessee work well, how do you make it continue to work well, and that people who may have very different views about individual issues, as we do, still feel this is the kind of thing that we ought to make sure happens in Tennessee to keep a level playing field and to keep the state running, as well as really it has for a long time.
I think people want to make certain that we have a judicial system that's not just making decisions on a political basis, but is acting like a referee or umpire and calling things the way they really are. And in a game, you want to make certain that umpire is not for either team. Ultimately, everybody wants that to happen. And so I think that's why we're here advocating this so far is so strong. Is we think it's really important that we have a judiciary that's about being a referee or an umpire instead of making a political decision.
Sorry, go ahead.
In terms of not understanding the issue, a lot of people think that the Constitution currently says that judges, particularly of the Supreme Court, shall be elected. That's pretty much a direct quote from the Constitution. The chief sponsor of this measure, Senator Kelsey, believes that the current system is completely unconstitutional. It sounds like you guys are arguing basically this decision is just too important to be left in the hands of the people, and that's why governors and legislatures need to be in the position of choosing.
Go ahead.
I lived with this during the time that I was governor. I would say, first of all, that the issue of its constitutionality, the current system, has come up, I believe, 3 times to the Supreme Court and has ruled each time that what we have does meet the terms of the Constitution. So I think the system we have today has been indicated to be constitutional. What I'm concerned about, what we're concerned about, is that the solution we have today is a legislative solution, and we'd like to lock this down as an amendment to the Constitution so that it's protected from the political sort of washing back and forth, whether you have Democrats or Republicans controlling the thing at any given instant. It's not a question. It's not a question of the people not being able to do it. It's a question of you have to, I think, respect the fact that most people have things to do in life other than worry about elections when they come up, and that having 29
Right.
appellate judges on a ballot is just asking people to do way too much in terms of the information that's here. They have an elected official on the ballot, the governor, who they can hold responsible for these kinds of appointments, and this provides the additional check of the legislature passing on the individual appointments. I think as a practical matter, we will just get much better judges, a much better judicial process in the state. When I was in the room earlier, I said, if you want to think about what elected judges would be like, think about what the Supreme Court of the United States would be like if each of those justices was out running for office every 8 years with all sorts of people running in and extra money coming in from the outside, and labor trying to get its Supreme Court judges and business trying to get its Supreme Court judges. We'd have a mess. We'd have a court that would not make some of the tough and really important decisions it has made over the years. We don't need that in Tennessee, and that's why it's so important that this pass.
I think the last thing on this is Constitution Day in our country, and I think the founding fathers got this right. They thought this through and thought this is the right way to have a strong and separate and independent judiciary. And again, I think you'd hear a Republican governor and Democrat governor and all of our living predecessors say this is the best way to keep the system free from politics.